thank you first for this invitation. Happy to be here and to have been able to listen to all what we heard this evening, because I think that the whole range of opinions and approaches it's really interesting and important. Just a few things about, as an introduction. I was never an advisor to Tony Blair. I was a member of a task force set by the previous government. I was still working with the government on many issues. I was yesterday morning at the Home Office and working also with the Social Cohesion Unit in a way which is partnership and to try to be involved in the process. And you will understand where I stand out of the presentation I'm trying to deliver right now. But really, this was not my role. I was quite critical towards the Blair government on many issues, and never was I an advisor or a direct advisor. Let me start with this, because I really think that first, as it was said, radicalization and the war on terror, the way it was put, we now are clear understanding that this is not the right phrase to use. It's really to try to tackle radicalization and to differentiate between what you said, which is really important, radical views and violent views or actions. And this is completely different, even though there is a process here. So between radicalization, the process, and terrorists, the way we have to tackle this is quite complex. When this happened in London in July 2005, I was asked straight away about this, and my first answer was this, and I think it's a vision that we have to share, because at the point you said it in your question, Muslims and non-Muslims together. This is the way we have to look at it, because it's not a Muslim problem. If we are talking about Europe, it's a European problem, and it's not only a European problem, it's an international problem that we have to tackle. When I was asked, I said, look, these kids, young Muslims, born and raised in the UK, are the kids of two parents. One parent is the Muslim community. The other parent is the British society. And when you have a kid who is going astray, you don't only blame the mother or the father. Both are equally responsible. It's a shared responsibility. And we have to take it from there. Not to blame the other, it's because, you Muslims, the first reaction of Tony Blair at that time was, the Muslims should solve the problem, they have a problem there, and Muslims are saying, no, it's not us, it's you. Your international policy is explaining everything. Both are wrong. The international policy is not explaining everything, and Muslims are not the only responsible for what is happening, even though they have to look at their responsibility as they are, and I will come to this. So this is something which is the first point, a very important one. The second point, I was not aware of this classification that you gave us, the three main theories. It's yours, it's interesting. I heard many other ways of dealing with this, but I think from the sociological viewpoint, or even the empiricist, the way you put it, it's quite interesting. If we come to try to deal with this and to say, look, with radical views and radical people, of course we need security policies. So all the people are saying the security policies are not what is needed. I think it's wrong. We need security policy. The question is this the only answer? And what you said at the beginning of our talk this evening is, no, it's not enough. We have to widen the perspective and to have a better understanding of a comprehensive understanding. Still, the point here is really to ask ourselves in which way we can tackle the people who may be attracted by radical activities. So the point is, as to the tiny minority who are already on the other side of the river and involved in this, it will be very difficult. It's difficult to get them out of a discourse and a policy. But there is a gray area where people could be attracted by these discourses and this understanding. And here we are, that we have to say, this is what we should tackle, because this is our common responsibility, coming from the government and coming from the Muslim communities, coming from the civil society and coming from the political authorities all together. This key area is also to ask ourselves, so now, is this only a question of identity? Is this only a question of connections? I think that if you come back to what is happening within the Muslim communities, we have also to deal with something which is essential, which is missing in the categorization coming from outside, but coming from within and knowing the history, let's say the recent historical experiences of the Muslims in the Islamic majority societies and in Europe. Violence and radical views are not new. It's not a new phenomenon. It's something which is quite old, quite old. And then the new way of dealing with violence now is something that we have to face because it's touching us, it's targeting us. But the point is that we have two problems here, and the Muslims should be really clear on that. We have something which has to do with a religious understanding about can we or can we not use violence in specific situations. There is something which has to do with a religious discussion here about the legitimization of violence, yes or no. This is something which is clear. If you speak with some, when the first time I was in the UK to write to be a European Muslim, I was dealing with people, and when I went into Egypt before that, I wrote a letter to my fellow Swiss citizens in '95, meaning much before what happened in the States, when the fellow Swiss citizens were going to Egypt and they were killed there by groups that are radical groups in Egypt. And the point was that they were saying, at that time, in the name of Islam, we can kill them. So I have to respond as a Muslim, in the name of Islam, what you are doing is against Islam. It's not only non-Islamic, it's anti-Islamic. It's against my religion. So it's a religious discussion, and we cannot deny this. It's not only identity tensions, it's a religious discourse responding to religious discourse. And this is something which is clear from within. It has to be clear. So we need an Islamic discourse which is tackling wrong understandings. And don't say, no, it's not coming from Muslims. Sometimes this paranoia attitude, oh, it's coming from the others. No, there is something which is, I met some Muslims having these ideas that it's possible in specific situations to kill and to kill innocent. This is something that we know and that we have to tackle this. So this is one of the causes. The religious discourse should be tackled. The second one is the understanding, is the political position of it. Why I'm saying this? Because when it's a non-Muslim speaking about Islam, you understand this. You say, of course, he's not justifying, he's explaining. But when a Muslim is explaining what Muslims is doing, it's as if, he's justifying. But the point is, it's really important. Why? Because when it comes to political understanding, you have to understand that what they are saying on the political ground is quite logic, even if it's condemned. But you have to listen. The problem with passion is that you condemn without understanding. What we need is to listen, to understand, and to challenge, to respond to this understanding. Why I'm saying this, look, just take the recent history of Ayman al-Zawahiri. Ayman al-Zawahiri is speaking from within Al-Qaeda. It is said that he's the ideologue of Al-Qaeda. During the 70s, Ayman al-Zawahiri, first, at the end of the 60s, beginning of the 70s, he left the Muslim Brotherhood saying, you are betrayers. You don't want to change the society. You are ready to deal with the government, and this government is a kafir government, infidels. We need to kill them. So, betrayers. Not praying with them in jails, because he was in jails with them. So, I don't want to pray with you. You are no longer a Muslim. We are the Muslims. You are supporting the non-Muslims. One step, first step. So, leaving the Muslim Brotherhood. And by the way, all the people are saying, all this is the same, are people who are very simplistic. We have to understand what is happening. Second step, he's saying, we are going to kill the president of this society to change the regime because these people are not, they are dictators.